Okay guys, I'm going to show you some of the most catastrophic river channels in the entire world. And we're first going to look at the Wei River Valley, which is this right here. So let's go to a topographical map and we can see that this is a riverbank here, and it even has a double step sequence to it. So you got two riverbanks right here and a riverbank way out here. And then we've got a nice expansion bar shown by these two riverbanks here. So all of these banks are showing incredibly wide rivers. So for example, from here to here is over 40 kilometers. And this whole Wei River Valley was made by a catastrophic river. Here you can see two river steps here, which is this riverbank here and this riverbank here. But now let's go over to the Yellow River. So the Yellow River flows down this way and goes out this way. So when we zoom into this, we can see a lot of terraces. So right here we can see some very large riverbanks, and they start as one and then they separate into two. That's something very characteristic of a river flow, and that's not something a lakeshore line can do. And as we keep checking out this river valley, we see a lot of those river steps. And then now let's compare that with the more modern riverbank, which looks absolutely tiny in comparison. So this is a common theme. The modern riverbank is a lot smaller than the paleo riverbank or the ancient riverbank. So just look at how much larger this ancient riverbank is and how strong it is. And here they kind of overlap. And then you get some smaller ones here. And when you look at this mountain, you see it's got a very clean edge to it, and it gained that clean edge from water flowing across it. So let's look at a topographical. It's a different topographical map, but this one's really good. So if we look at this here, based upon the color gradient, we can see all the steps really well. And so this would be the river here from bank to bank. And this is that mountain I just showed you. That clean edge was the bank that corresponds to that edge. No, it doesn't. It corresponds to this edge, right? Because it's the same color gradient across. So it's all about the elevation of the banks. So now let's go back and we can measure it. From here to here, we're talking about a 32-kilometer river. So yeah, it gets real catastrophic when you understand what a riverbank is and a terrace, right? So the terrace is the flatland, which was smoothed out by the water flow. That clean edge was the bank that corresponds to that edge. No, it doesn't. It corresponds to this edge, right? Because it's the same color gradient across. So it's all about the elevation of the banks. So now let's go back and we can measure it. From here to here, we're talking about a 32-kilometer river. So yeah, it gets real catastrophic when you understand what a riverbank is and a terrace, right? So the terrace is the flatland, which was smoothed out by the water flow. So when we look at this land right here and we see that it's very flat, we can infer that this was once the bottom of a river, even though it's just kind of over the mountains. But the best example of that is right over here, right? You can see this mega channel. And all of this is flattened out. You don't get a flat land like this for no reason. It takes a lot of force. What high-speed water can do is create a planation surface. So all of this terrace is a planation surface because it was planed flat by the water flow. And that's the exact same reason why this is flat here and this is flat here. It's just an extrapolation of the exact same feature to then understand how catastrophic this whole area is. But the best example of this is when we go farther down this channel and we can zoom into right around here. And this right here is a very ideal terrace. You can't say that's not a terrace. You just can't. You'd be wrong. You'd be dead wrong if you said that wasn't a terrace. And then when we zoom out, it's right in the middle of a river channel. Therefore, we've got ourselves a nice river terrace. And this river channel happens to be over 30 kilometers wide. And then we've got parallel rivers coming through here and cutting between them. a textbook feature of sheet water flow. So there you have it. Okay, so I showed you guys some river features in this channel and around this area that show massive rivers over 40 kilometers wide. It's hard to even imagine a river that large. But if we go just to the northeast of this, we can find a feature that actually gives us a lot of insight on how this could be possible. So when we look at this landscape here, we find parallel paths. These long ridges of sediment are drumlins, and they form parallel with the current. And in the troughs of these drumlins are scours, which are these lakes, which are now salt pans. And we can even see pointed features, which are sediment lobes, which get pushed forward by a river current. And then salty lakes in the troughs of these as well. To the north, we can find a lot of circular lakes, which are a type of scour, and they can even be directional when you have a nice straight, scarp edge. That shows that the current went down this way, and this one's even got a nice tail to it. You can see the tail on that guy. Same flat edge on this feature, same flat edge here, more flat of an edge here. So there's a general trend to these lakes. And so what happened is water flowed over this shallow range here and then flowed downhill, and it curved to the north to make these drumlins. I love drumlins because they do such a great job of showing the exact flow of the current. And then now if we look at it from the other perspective, from the other side of the range, we can zoom in and find a whole bunch of sediment lobes. And so these sediment lobes are agreeing with the current direction of the other sediment lobes and with the drumlins. And this is actually showing a current that's going slightly uphill to make it over these mountains. You can see the mountain pass and how that was carved by a river. And then that flows right down and then into these drumlins as well. And these drumlins here. And then right here you've got more drumlins. And then just uphill of this is a ripple formation with a wavelength over 600 meters. So there you have it.